Well, good afternoon, SLAE family. I am really excited to be here today. I love featuring women, but I especially love when we have a woman who is breaking down barriers. And our guest today is all about it. She is a unicorn in a male-dominated industry for sure. So I'm very excited from Maryland today to welcome Rachel Oslund. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Really excited to be here. Rachel is the founder of Lodestar Inspection Services, and we're going to talk about everything she does and what makes her unique. But before we dive in, the statistics on females in her industry will just make your jaw drop. So, Rachel, if you could do me a favor as we start today, as a woman running a home inspecting business, could you talk about nationally what are the percentages of women in your industry? Because I think it's staggering.
Yes, the American Society of Home Inspectors has 2% of their members are women, and 4% of the National Association of Certified Home Inspectors are women.
That's incredible. So right there, conservatively, you're 4% of an industry, which is wild, or 2%, depending on which one you want to associate with.
Right.
That's the national picture. Now, you live in Maryland, I know, and would you take a minute and share the stats for where you live in Maryland?
Yes, we have over 1,000 home inspectors in Maryland, and there are 7 female inspectors, and 2 of them are with my company.
Okay, so when I tell everyone today that she's breaking barriers, this is no joke. It's amazing. And I want to talk a little bit about, your journey in the industry. It is very unusual for women to do what you are doing. So, why is that? Is it that women aren't introduced to it? Was there something that inspired you to jump into home inspecting? Would you just tell everyone how you landed where you are?
Yeah, so my dad was looking for the perfect job to do in his retirement. And he was very into construction and had been in real estate, and we'd moved a lot of times. He could tell you everything wrong with houses. So this was the perfect job. He bought a home inspection franchise and he loved it and said, Rachel, I think you would really love this. So I jumped in with him and we did that together for 12 years.
And then at one point you now broke off and you are the founder of your own company. So even more unusual than being in the industry is being a founder of a company. So a woman-based home inspection company has got to be the unicorn amongst the stars. That's so unusual. Tell us 2 things, please. What the name of your company means, because I love that. And then what made you decide you wanted to have your own business in the industry?
Those are very good questions. So a Lodestar is a light that guides you home. It's a guiding light. And I didn't want that because there's too much drama associated with guiding lights, right?
Yes.
But I wanted something that represented guidance, but not advice. Guidance, but not coercion. I wanted it to just feel like people were getting what they needed so that they could confidently make decisions. And the word spoke to me.
Excellent. And for you to break off into having your own business, what's the inspiration behind that? And why do you love having your own business too?
There were some things, my dad and I just did things differently. Mm-hmm. And when he was ready to retire, I was going to take over his. And I had this feeling that I really could do something differently that was fully education based and all about empowerment. And that if we just built a business that went like that we would always be successful and we could make a real difference with people. And so that was my goal. My dad was making a difference in his way and taught me a lot. And but I didn't have as much freedom as I wanted. And so I've got it now and I can be fully self-expressed in what I'm doing.
Love that. So here you are now, you've got your own business and it's a competitive industry anyway, especially when the market shifts, if there's less transactions, et cetera. But you're not only competing in general, but you're also trying to set yourself apart as a female business owner. So would you take a second? You just alluded to a little bit. What are some of the things that make your company stand out, that gives you the ability to provide extraordinary service to people who use your company?
Well, thank you. So one of the things is that our inspectors are trained to listen and to actually get kind of over there with the buyers and the realtors that they're working with, find out what the buyers do for a living, if it's their first house, what their concerns are, what they've experienced. And so in getting to know the buyers, they're actually able to serve them better because they can explain things in ways that make sense to them relating to their own careers. So that's one of the biggest things.
It's interesting because so few people in this day and age listen anyway. In any topic, in any industry. So training people to listen, especially in something where it would be easy to just go in with your agenda and check the boxes and explain to people, that's really unique. And then I know you do a lot of things to service people in the real estate industry as well. Can you talk about some of the educational things and some of the tools that you provide for people there?
Yeah, thank you. One of them is almost every other Tuesday, I provide an educational session, so an hour on Tuesday mornings, to just focusing on specific aspects of the home inspection industry that most people aren't very familiar with. So I do that for an hour, and that's fantastic. That's on Zoom, so we get people from all over on there. And I also teach classes for the different real estate associations in our area, which is great because then I'm in the community and I'm learning from the agents.
So there's a few
as
things.
Well.
So let's start with the Zoom. If somebody wants to participate in that, how do they find out about your Zooms? How do they join in on that?
I could add them to my email list. So
Great.
that would be, I guess, on the put your information down in the chat below, or in the messages, and I will add you to my list so you know. And that's probably the fastest, easiest way.
Great. And if you don't mind, if you would want to give out a way, so if somebody sees this later and they want to reach out to you, is there a way they can request to be added on and join in?
Absolutely. And so they can text or email me, and that my email, and I'll put that
Your
below
email,
too.
that would be easy because we can send that out everywhere.
Yes, here's a really simple one: Lodestar at lodestarinspections.com.
There you have it. Not hard to remember at all. And then when you are working with the realtors, can you give us maybe a tip or two? What are some of the things that you talk about or empower the real estate agents with?
I want the real estate agents to know that it's my goal and my inspector's goal to make the agents look good, because it takes so much work to get buyers to the point where they've actually gotten a contract, especially in the market right now. But
Yes.
they've worked so hard and gotten to this point that they're entrusting us with the clients that they've worked so hard to get there. We then are educating them about the house in a way that's not scary. And one of the things to have the agents know is to remind their clients before they even look at houses that there are only two types of houses: ones that have problems and ones that are going to have problems.
So sad, but true. Okay.
Yes. And that there's no such thing as a perfect house. And when that comes out of an inspector's mouth, it validates what the realtor's been trying to tell their clients. So I actually also offer a training for buyers so that buyers can watch it on Zoom and just see, oh, so really what my realtor's saying is accurate. There's no such thing as a perfect house, and there's only two types of houses. And so that's fun. And it just makes people chuckle because they remember having to jiggle the handle at their grandparents' house or something when they were a kid. Like, that's what goes in the report. So to you realtors, share that.
First of all, that is hilarious. And you did make me chuckle. But you know what? It's so true because it's such an emotional experience to buy a house. And when the market is challenging like this, there's less transactions and you're competing. Then you get in and you're finally getting a place under contract. and it would be really easy for someone to be rattled. So, you know,
Mhm.
you're bringing that piece and that vision and that perspective has got to be fantastic for clients, and the realtors must just want to throw roses at your feet.
I'll take that. One of our inspectors' favorite thing to say is the answer in real estate is always yes. It's just time or money. So anything can be done, anything's possible with the time and money to do it.
Anything can be fixed.
Anything can be fixed. And so that's important. It's because we're walking through a house pointing out every single thing that's wrong. I mean, can you imagine being my spouse or one of my children? Like, I identify defects for a living. I think that may be why my first marriage didn't work out. I don't know.
That could be part of it. Or maybe you just had a natural talent. You needed to redirect it. That could be it.
I'm gifted at pointing out everything that's wrong
That's
and
it.
not making it sound bad. My
That's
team
it for
calls
sure.
me the cheerleader of bad news.
Yeah, it's what do they call that? Putting a dress on a pig, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's
Yes.
this problem. So now, how many years have you been in home inspection overall?
Since 2006.
That's
So
quite
17 years.
So
Mhm.
you've moved from being in it to being an entrepreneur, having your own business. Now you're employing other women that are doing it, which is incredible. What would you like to accomplish, or what vision do you have, you know, down the road, 5 years or 10 years? Where do you want to go next? Because you're clearly breaking down barriers.
Well, I would love to be able to educate other home inspectors to be able to educate realtors. And one of the trainings that we do is called a mock home inspection. It's an hour and a half instead of 3 hours. And we walk around the house together and talk about what I'm seeing as a home inspector. And then also and it's just realtors and just me. And we talk about what's there. So they can ask questions that they wouldn't want to ask in front of clients because they want to look good. And so which is fantastic to just have the time there. We did it yesterday and we had 13 agents. And one of the comments for continuing ed credit from an association, a real estate association, one of the agents said, "This is amazing. I've never been on a home inspection with other agents." So they were able to bounce ideas off each other, get some ideas of best practice from each other. So it's outside their brokerage, just getting some other feedback and hearing other voices. I'd love to be able to share that with other home inspectors to do it around the country. And I think that would be super valuable. And the real thing that I think would be huge would be that this education allows more first generation home buyers to buy a home. So that actually home ownership rates among all races and genders are even and high, and that people feel empowered to own houses if they want to own a house.
That's phenomenal. Well, it's so exciting because, first of all, I love to talk to someone who's really, you know, going into an industry where there aren't women, but then you didn't just go into the industry, you're now running a business in the industry, but your strategy and your approach is so much more than just home inspection. The things that you're talking about, what realtor wouldn't love that? Because you're right, the realtor wants to look good, and the realtor doesn't want their client being scared off, and the realtor wants to get to the daggone table.
Right.
You know, they don't want their
Right.
client to get to the table unhappy, but the goal is that the person gets into the home, the realtor's done, everybody comes out happy at the end of the situation. So your approach and philosophy behind that is incredibly unique. We bought many homes over the years, and I wish I'd known you way back then, that's for sure.
Yes, I think that's the biggest thing that sets us apart, is that we are so enmeshed in the communities. And where we live in Maryland we've got very different areas, rural and city and everything in between. And so I'm a member of all the real estate associations in the area so that I can see what all the agents are dealing with in different areas, different septic concerns near the Chesapeake Bay, as opposed to other things that are happening further west. So it's kind of neat. And that leads me to my favorite new position, being the appointee, governor's appointee to, oh, you want me to say it the other way, don't you? Being the first female home inspector appointed by,
we're going to do a do-over. Say it the first. Go ahead.
go ahead. The first female appointee, home inspector appointee to the Maryland Commission of Home Inspectors, Appraisers, and Appraisal Management Companies.
Incredible.
And I'm hoping that through my participation in this appointment, I will be able to add to the education side of the home inspections that are being offered, and maybe elevate the industry to look at things a little differently. That let's manage expectations. There's no such thing as a perfect house, but you should know what's happening here.
Well, I will never forget there's two kinds of houses that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And, Rachel, congratulations on your success. But
Thank you.
Also, I just want to really acknowledge you for making a difference for all the people involved in a transaction. You're not just clocking in and doing a job. You're making the client comfortable. You're got the real estate agents back. You really got the whole thing coming together so everyone goes in with a sense of perspective, a sense of what to expect, and they can come out happy at the end, which is really powerful and says a lot about your philosophy and your skills with people.
Thank you very much.
So Rachel, now if somebody wants to find you, let's talk about how the website, social media, email we went through, but any other form of contact with you online would be great if you would share that.
So the social media, is that?
Yes,
so social media
website would be great. Yes.
The website is lodestarinspections.com.
Great.
And you can get to me from there. And there's a ton of education there as well. It took about 9 months to write all the information that we put into that website. It was like it's amazing because there's just stuff there. We want people to have the information they need so they can make educated decisions, that they're not making choices just based on something they saw on the internet. Not that I'm saying everything on the internet's wrong. I'm just saying there is a reliable place for them to get some information too. So lodestarinspections.com.
And you have some social media too?
Yes, on Instagram, you could follow me at Rachel Oslund. At Lodestar Inspections. Great. And Facebook, it's Lodestar Inspections.
Excellent.
And
and
YouTube. So some of those trainings are on there. Those Tuesday morning trainings are recorded and on there. And that's at Lodestar Inspections.
Okay, nice and consistent, easy for people to find. I love that. So yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. Love hearing your story. Love all the success you have, and love all the appointments you're getting. And it just is so exciting to see a woman like you kind of take charge and go out and do the things that you're doing at such a high level of accomplishment. So really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And if you are listening to this on the podcast, thank you for being here. Share it, especially with anyone who is a real estate agent or buying a home. And if you're in the Facebook group or you're on YouTube and you have a question or a comment, please make sure you put it in the comment section, and we will make sure that Rachel sees it and is able to get back to you. So thank you all for being here. We'll see you live next week. And Rachel, thanks again. Take care.
Thank you.